Okay, so today I will be talking about the play called Creditors by August Strindberg. And first, I will be starting off with the exposition. Yeah. So, the beginning of the play, we see Gustav and Adolf on stage. It just starts with both of them. Tekla comes at the end of the play. It takes place at a hotel lobby, and Adolf introduces himself as a sculptor slash painter. And Adolf, he while him and Gustav are talking, he tells Gustav about his doubts, not just with his wife Tekla, but his personal life. He feels like he's doing everything wrong, and Gustav is just there, basically like Adolf needs someone to mentor him, and he's just hoping that it's Gustav. But we find out later on in the play that that's not really what Gustav was trying to do. So Gustav wasn't trying to mentor him, but that's basically he's basically using Gustav for guidance. And then second, we start off with the conflict. The conflict's kind of like the middle ground of the play, and while the play is going on, they're talking about Tekla, and Gustav gives Adolf misinformation about Tekla, such as when she was in the boat, she was talking to a bunch of guys, and how she's using Adolf because Adolf helped Tekla know how to read, and like Gustav is just there trying to manipulate Adolf, and kind of, yeah, trying to manipulate him, I'd say so. And okay, now we're gonna go with the climax, which is the breaking point of the play. And this is when Tekla returns from the boat and comes back to the hotel, and it's just Adolf there. Gustav's hiding behind, he's hiding and listening on to like what's going on. So this is where Adolf kind of confronts Tekla for like all this misinformation Gustav has given Adolf. And yeah, so basically Adolf's like really emotional and angry, and Tekla is just like a little bit confused on what's going on. And after that, Adolf leaves, and then Gustav comes back in, and like Tekla's like, oh my god, like what are you doing here? And yeah, they start talking, and like they get kind of like flirtatious and touchy. Tekla was being flirtatious and touchy with Adolf as well. It's just Adolf was like not feeling it because he was so angry and all that type of stuff. And Tekla kind of starts being a little bit flirtatious with Gustav, and Gustav just kind of like makes her like reminisce about each other and all that type of stuff. And then she really finds out the true reason what Gustav is here and what he wants to do, which is to seek revenge. Gustav feels like Tekla owes him a certain type of debt, and that's what he came here to find, which is that debt, which is basically ruining his Tekla's relationship with Adolf. And then this is the resolution slash ending, which we see Tekla and Gustav arguing. Adolf comes in, and when Adolf comes in, he kind of gets like an emotional shock. He has like kind of like a little bit of blood on his face, on his shirt, and a little bit, and he kind of falls to the ground. So he basically collapses, and then we have Tekla right there, like holding him, like basically telling Gustav, like, oh, this is all your fault, like crying and all those types of stuff. And then Gustav is just there claiming his victory because he did what he came to. He got what he came there for, which was to seek revenge on Tekla. So that was kind of the resolution slash ending of the story. And then we're gonna do actors and their performances. So first off, I'm gonna talk about what each actor is supposed, like how they're supposed to play and how they played it. So Adolf is kind of supposed to be like a physically weak and mentally insecure about himself and everything around him. So, and he also needs validation from others. He's easy to manipulate. And yeah, that basically sums up Adolf. And I feel like the strengths that this guy that played Adolf did was that I think he played the role well by being a little bit nervous, shaky. He did seem very easy to manipulate, which I think he did very well. But I think his weakness was that he was very loud since the beginning. He should have built up to being louder and louder and louder. Well, in the play, it felt like he had the same tone throughout the whole play. Second, we're gonna do Gustav. Gustav is very strategic, knows how to manipulate, and kind of gets what he wants. And he's very emotionally intelligent. So his strengths, the character that played him, his strengths, I'd say, were that he kind of, oh no, I was thinking about weaknesses. His strengths is that I feel like he played a good job and a good role on knowing how to manipulate Adolf, but his weakness was that he kind of made it obvious for the audience when we were watching the play. He kind of was like winking at us and giving us the hint, like, oh, like I'm Tekla's ex-husband, I'm Adolf's girlfriend or a wife, whatever you want to call her, like a ex-husband. And he kind of gave it to us since the beginning of the play when he was not supposed to do that. We were supposed to find out later on in the play, so that's why I think he could have done better. So yeah. Third, we have Tekla. When Tekla, she's supposed to be confident, seductive, and this type of crazy personality in a woman, I'd say. She's not really like a good or bad person. She's more of like a overall like nice person, you could say. I'd say her acting strengths, she played the flirtatious role pretty well. I think at the beginning when she came in, she was flirting with Adolf, and she was also flirting with Gustav. So I think that's what she did really well, to be honest. Yeah. And then her weak moments, when she came in, she had two bags. She tried to place it on the chair, and they both fell twice. So she kind of just left it there. And in the back of my head, I was like, wait, like, this is not part of the play. So, like, I kind of snapped back into reality. So I'd say that was her weak moment. And then now we're going to move forward on to the themes, where the main part of the play was where Gustav kind of obviously manipulates Adolf, and that's like the most important part of the play, where Gustav manipulates Adolf, and Adolf falls for the manipulation that Gustav has placed on him. And when Adolf confronts Tekla with all this misinformation that he believes is true, he kind of like obviously collapses and like kind of dies or goes to emotional shock. And Tekla obviously realizes that Gustav was only there to get his revenge, and that was his only sole purpose for coming to see her, you'd say so. And Gustav got the debt that he thought he deserved back. And last but not least, we're going to do did I do all of them? I think I did. last but not least, we're going to do the visual and technical elements. All right, so what are the four? I think there's four. Yeah, props, costumes, lighting, sound. So for the props, I honestly think out of all the plays I've watched at Iona, this is my second one I went to. I think this is the best one that had the best props. I feel like there was a lot of props, and I feel like each prop played a crucial role, if that makes sense. Like, for example, there was a beer. They were, like, drinking the beer. Like, there was a reason the prop was there for. There was a sculpture. There was a photo of Tekla before she came back. There were bags. They had, obviously, like I said, a lot of beer. And, yeah, there was, like, yeah, the props were nice. Furniture. Yeah, tables, chairs. I thought it was a really, really, really good set. And then we will go to the costumes. I think the costumes, especially for back then in that time, I think the costumes were very much appropriate. You had Gustav's costume, you had Adolf's costume, you have Tekla's costume. Gustav and Adolf kind of had the same costume. Gustav's costume was like brownish, like a little bit of a suit. Same with Adolf. Adolf had a button down with jeans. And then Tekla's costume was really, really good. She was dressed in all blue, kind of looking like a princess. I forgot which princess it was that wears all blue. But, like, she had like those white shoulder pads. Like, it was really, really nice. And yeah, I think that they did a really good job with their costumes. So now for the last two visuals, we have lighting and sound. The lighting was pretty much very normal, standard lighting. It was subtle, nothing crazy. So I really won't go too much into it because there wasn't really anything that would set the mood or tone of the play because it kind of stayed the same lighting. But, like, the lighting was really good. Like, it shined on them very nice. So I would say that. The sound, there was really not that much sound. There was maybe, like, banging noises, or, like, there was either a banging noise or you would hear the boat come back. Like, the boat comes to the dock. Like you hear, like, those were the only sound in the play. But, like, besides that, there was really nothing major about any sound. So I'd say the sound was standard. So after that, I've explained everything. I think the play overall was okay. It wasn't the best play to play, as we talked about in class, that it is a very hard play to play for those characters, and it takes obviously a couple months to play that role. So I wouldn't rate the play as bad as I think I should rate it, because I think these are not, like how you say, like, these are not Broadway actors, so I think they did a good job and dedicated a lot of time into it. So I don't really want to bash the play, but I know this is not an assignment, but I think out of 10, I'd give it like a 6. Like a 6. All right, that's it.